Right, welcome to the, we start with the meditation of the 40 days intensive and awakening to the light within, as you can see up there, awakening to the light within. So we started a bit with music and relaxation, and so now we're really getting quiet, so to speak. So I found it's more like a poem that I wrote probably like in spring or so, but it's very much related to the idea of openness. And since that is the theme in the Instrument of Truth class, it will come back to us here too, in the meditation. So openness, we start with that here by practicing it literally, by opening ourselves up for our true self, in fact. But what we do to achieve that, or to have that flow naturally, so to speak, is not to pay too much attention to our thoughts, letting them go, and seeing the thoughts or letting them come up, just like your emotions, letting them come up, but not engaging with them. Seeing that you can look at them and just be the observer of it, but also the one who is going to let go of it and let it pass by as the clouds in the sky. So that's a real great practice. And the thing is that when you start to let go of that, there's more space in your consciousness for something else to emerge, like that is already there, but now it can come to the surface because your attention is on a broader field than when you're just dealing with your daily affairs in the human way, so to speak. So that's the practice that we do. We use breathing for that too, to really deeply being able to become present, to use the breathing for release, for letting it flow out of us and not holding on to anything. And also to deeply connect with the deeper layers of ourselves, and like a deep breath can really help with that. So breathe deeply, gently, and like quietly in and out. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And when you exhale, it's like give it a little bit of extra time, and you'll see that you easily come into a deeper relaxation yourself. So it's not, I don't want to put too much emphasis on the breathing, because it is really like in this process that we're in coming into the practice of this becomes easier and easier. It's like, yeah, you know what to do. Okay, this is what we do now. So relax into that. And all the things that were your concerns a moment ago, all the occupations, all the preoccupations, all the concerns, the cares, the plans, the whatever you come up with in your mind, we leave that, because it's not going to help us. And even Eckhart Tolle is saying it. It's like, it's time. 2023 is the year where you're going to let go of your intellect. You don't need your thoughts. So it's great, yes. But we can do that now already. You know, like the thoughts that you are thinking are not availing you in this moment of coming into a deeper experience of yourself. They're not going to help you in any way in that sense. So we're going to let them go continuously, and allow ourselves to come into a whole different flow and connection and communication. So that's the practice. And so the words that I use are different. And this is what I wanted. Like I was looking for one prayer that I had, or a poem with the idea of openness, because it's really where this is all about. It's like, this is what you are, completely open. In your true sense of self, it is like completely open, because there is nothing to defend, there's nothing to be afraid of, there's nothing to protect you against. And so this is what you are, in fact. You are what openness is. And so I'm using that poem. I made a page for that. So we sink into this quiet place inside ourselves and use these words. What I think is the solution is not it. I let go. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. And suddenly there is space. What I think is the solution is not it. I let go. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. Suddenly there's space to receive instead of understand, and heal instead of manipulate, light instead of fear, openness instead of contraction, breath instead of choke, dance instead of freeze, space instead of corner, release instead of adrenaline, stillness instead of time, one instead of you and me. So what I think is the solution is not it. I let go. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. And suddenly there is space to receive instead of understand, and heal instead of manipulate, light instead of fear, openness instead of contraction, breath instead of choke, and dance instead of freeze, space instead of corner, release instead of adrenaline, stillness instead of time, one instead of you and me. What I think is the solution is not it. I let go. It is not this. It is not this. And suddenly there is space to receive instead of understand, to heal instead of manipulate, light instead of fear, openness instead of contraction, breath instead of choke, dance instead of freeze, space instead of corner, release instead of adrenaline, stillness instead of time, one instead of you and me. What I think is the solution is not it. I let go, it's not this, it's not this. And suddenly there is space to receive instead of understand, and to heal instead of manipulate, light instead of fear, and openness instead of contraction, breathe instead of choke, and dance instead of freeze, space instead of corner, and release instead of adrenaline, stillness instead of time, and one instead of you and me. So thank you for being still with me, for meditating, for opening, for coming into a really deep relaxation and feeling the space that we're talking about and the light that is available. You know, there's all these parts are, say, transformational process, if you want, in our realization of oneness. These become important parts. So the openness that we're talking about has also to do with like one other thing, and that is your adventurous mind that wants to discover this. It doesn't think it's, like it came to the point where it says like, well, it cannot be this, there must be something else. So this was an invitation to a new experience for yourself, and that's why that also is occurring. So but it doesn't stop there. So that's for me always like fascinating to see that, like there's such thing as openness, but it's like it keeps on opening. It keeps on opening. And of course you are the principle yourself, and coming to that point, so to speak, in yourself, it is continuous letting go, and also allowing this moving through and moving in and moving through you to take place. So like in your daily life, it expresses itself more and more in a whole different way. Like you cannot really call your life human anymore because of this process that is taking place in you. So there's an openness to have a whole different experience altogether. And this is fascinating to see that that's actually possible. Like you're aware of the fact that you're dreaming, and at the same time you're aware that like God is moving through you, or you're not in this place, you're not from this world. You are receiving different experiences. You are open for anything to take place, and that is part of the plan. So, and that, like, you can say like surrender, but I don't really like that word in the sense of as if I'm giving up something. It's like, no, it's the recognition that what I held on to had no value, or what I held on to was only temporary. I needed that apparently to deal with fears that I had. And I was patient with myself. I allowed that to occur that way, but it's moving further and further and further. Like, so you go through barriers of fear in this awakening. You think, okay, everything is set now. Yeah, I think I got it. It's so great. And then boom, there's something that will shake you up, and lets you dive into a whole new scenario, a whole new era for yourself, where you don't know anything. Like you have no idea how to deal with it. So it's like that unsettles for a moment, and then suddenly you pick up, after you stay with your practice, and you pick up something new for yourself. You have let go of something that you held on to before that appeared to be your certainty. So whether that's the things that you selected as being valuable to you, so these things change too. So and all that is a continuous process in which you find yourself in your awakening. It's a continuous process where you open up to new eras, new continuums in yourself that you had no idea about that could even happen. So that's just the nature of an awakening process. So you have experiences, like if I translate it into my own experience, like I suddenly have a deep experience of being out of this world, literally, like I was lifted out of this. Then I appear to be coming back in, but not knowing how to function at all. like being completely shaken up by what I thought was normal human behavior, but I just could not perform that any longer. So then moving through a process where you start to deal with, how am I supposed to do this? Well, is that possible in this world to deal with it? And then you see, like, well, why is your focus there? Why is not your focus inward? Maybe there's a way to let you be guided, to start to listen to what is given to you and the voice that is speaking to you on a continuing basis. Why not make connection with that? Ask for help, ask for miracles, ask for, all this. It's like that goes on and on. So then you enter into another phase, and in which you see, like, all right, so it is still totally different than I expected it to be. I really thought that I was in some kind of retirement, almost like I don't have to work, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. And I just thought about it. And the next moment I find myself in a setup where I work really hard and do very heavy jobs, and really, to say, being active in this world where I give everything to that, without losing my practice in say meditation or my connection with God. I didn't lose that, but I really didn't think in this scenario that I would do that again. So all the things that I think about it as a scenario, like as a dream that I think it will look like this, it falls apart. Actually, on a continuing basis. It is not even in years anymore, or in seasons or whatever. Now it's on a continuing basis that I can have a plan, sure, but then that falls apart again because I allow it to fall into place. In fact, not by my own choosing, but just by listening and seeing, like, oh no, that's not at all what is going to occur. Apparently, this looks like totally different. See, and then staying on a moment by moment basis, on a day by day idea. The only thing I can do is being open and receptive and listening, and that is where everything is occurring, and that is where my flow is and my security. And it helps me not to look to the future and make a plan, or to dream about how it should be or whatever. So I really love to see how this is like first it is like well, you have some beautiful words for it. It spins like a spinner. It spins really fast, and slowly it starts to slow down. It appears that way, and it starts to circle around, but coming closer to the center of it. It's like spiraling into the center of it. And then it doesn't matter if it's going really fast or not, but you're always in the center of it then. So in this open state, you're literally at the center of it. It literally is realigned with you, say, in a whole different perspective, something that you would never, that you could never figure out. So that openness to experience, as we look at today, like the openness to experience has everything to do for that. So you fall into, say, experiences that you never expected yourself to fall into. Like nothing is what it seems, and nothing is literally aligning with your plans at all. So you give them up all the time and discover that there is a certainty you can tap into. So that I love that. It's really great to discover this. And to express this is great too, because it actually can be a really great exercise to come into the, I have no idea how this is supposed to look. I'm allowing this to be expressed through me, and I don't really care how that looks. Or I find my places where that resonate in the moment and is available in the moment for the expression. I remember this from being in my studio and painting, for instance, that the moments that I was starting something without really choosing to start it, but finding myself doing it, that everything was, say, arranged around me. Like everything is in perfect place. I can use it all, and it's just happening. It seems to be happening by itself. That was a real experience for me to learn to trust that it doesn't need my control. Like there is a perfect organization. If I try to organize it, it becomes chaos. So this is an interesting process, and that's why I love to bring that into the Instrument of Truth class, just because it fits so well, and it's part of all this. So, of course, we're going to take a look at the ways it is being expressed. So, the other part is what I love to look at for just a second is then you see that because of course the focus was on the idea of openness. You see it reflected everywhere too. So you see it in what I shared with you in Wikipedia, like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 ways of expression of openness to experience what it means, you know, like this. And look, yeah, encountering persons that appear to be experts on the subject. I got in touch with a professor here in town, and she appears to be like an expert for openness, and she uses it for management, for business, and for this and that. Like, who would have known? So to achieve a certain goal, using openness to achieve a certain goal, and not being afraid to allow new ways to come to expression. And see, with the using it in a human sense, so to speak, it can still have the same inspiration. So the funny part is then, that's always the interesting part for me to look at. It's like everyone has an idea, and a deep idea about openness, because it is such part of you. You know, it is such part of you. When you allow yourself to be, that's a natural state of you. So that's interesting. So the places where then the contraction can take place, or where it's not working out that well, then you see immediately that there's a problem with it, and that there's an appearance, of course. But it's related to the idea that it's like you're actually denying something inside yourself that is natural to you. This is what I mean. Just the same idea as perfection, you know, or perfect health or perfect peace. Like we have deeply ingrained in our being a reference to that, like a perfect reference. And that's why it's so familiar. Like it's a universal, part of you. And that's beautiful to see that. So when it comes into the human realm, it is always like a strive for it, instead of a realization that it is taking place, but you have to get out of the way. So that's interesting for me to take a look at that. And so that was one part. So the other part is then in psychology. You see it a lot too. So this is one of the big five, as they say, like the 5 key aspects of the human character or human ways of being. And or the one, maybe it's a 6, a big 6, but it was a big 5 before. Now there's another trait that comes with it. And absolutely. Thank you. So it is interesting to see that too. So it's like in your in your experience of yourself, this is also part of your psychological flexibility, if you want. It's like openness is, of course, an important one. And not to get too psychological about it, but it's more like they it is also a part of it, so you can't ignore it either. And you encounter it when you do these exercises, and it doesn't stay there. So in our, in fact, healing class, you have a great possibility to come up with new experiences that actually are especially for you, in your way of expression or discovering what the openness actually can be, and to play with that. Well, it's so great. So anyway, that's also what I wanted to share about this. It's just, I keep it brief because I want to spend a lot of time looking at what you present and yeah, give that all the space necessary. All right, so thank you so much. In class we continue, and for now, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon.